Hello everyone, I'm Chester44 and welcome to this Let's Play of Neverwinter Nights. Last episode, we spoke with Erebeth and this new person, Aaron Gend, in order to find out what exactly we have to do. Specifically, we were told that we need to find out who this cult is, where they are, and destroy them. Because considering what they did to Neverwinter, yeah, they kinda deserve it. We have four places we can look. Luskan, which is locked up, a series of caves between Port Last and Luskan, the Neverwinter Wood to the east, and find something in the South Road to the south. That said, we still have to talk with our companions here, because we can get them all back. There's also this guy here, Barracks. I don't know who he is.
Hello there!
Hello, Ken Daniels, hero of Neverwinter. I am Barracks, formerly a soldier of Neverwinter. Now I intend to hunt down the bastards who did this to us.
How do you know my name?
Everyone in Neverwinter knows your name. You are one of the people who saved us from the plague, and I suspect that you'll help just as much in the search for the bastards who started it.
Who are we searching for?
The cult, of course. This mysterious organization that unleashed the plague on Neverwinter and killed so many innocent people. A hero like you is just what we need to find them.
I'll definitely do my best.
I'm sure that it will be more than enough. A lot of innocent people were killed, and this cult owes us a debt that can only be repaid in blood. Give him hell for all of us, Ken.
I'll definitely do the best I can. Now then, we've got all of these companions. How about we start with Dalen?
It is a pleasure to see you again, though not altogether unexpected. I had heard that Erebeth recruited you to stamp out the foul cult that was responsible for the plague.
I'm surprised to see you here, Dalen.
I know we went our separate ways, Ken, but it seems the gods have seen fit to bring us together once more. After we parted ways in Neverwinter, I returned to the trade of blades to offer my skills for hire. It was there I was approached by Lady Erebeth on behalf of Lord Nasher himself. It seems Lord Nasher is determined to root out the cult that brought so much suffering to his city. He has ordered all the mercenaries in Neverwinter to come to Port Last to join in the search.
So you were conscripted into service by Erebeth?
When Erebeth recruited the mercenaries, we were all paid in advance for our services. Well paid. Lord Nasher is sparing no expense in tracking down these cultists. Our instructions were simply to make ourselves available to whomever requires our assistance. So in that spirit, is there anything I can do for you?
Do you actually have any information on the cult behind the Wailing Death?
I have heard nothing of the cult, though many suspect, as I do, that answers might be found in the city of Luskan.
Luskan?
The city has long been an enemy of Neverwinter, an evil blight upon the north. It is widely acknowledged as the home of murders and thieves, a place with no honor. It would not surprise me to discover links to the cult in this den of evil. Is there anything else I can help you with?
I could actually use a good fighter by my side.
I would be honored to join my blade to your cause.
Indeed.
Yes? Is there something you need?
By the way, if we're to be adventuring companions, I'd like to know a little more about you. Why not?
There are no great secrets about me, Ken. I am what I am. My father was an orc and my mother was an Uthgard of the Red Tiger tribe. I know nothing of my father. My mother would never speak of him. But I was raised among the Red Tiger tribe and the customs and traditions of the Uthgard people. I do not know what more I can tell you.
Tell me about the Uthgard, about your customs and traditions.
We Uthgard are a simple but noble people. We hunt the herds and live off the land. We worship the gods of our ancestors and the totems of our tribes. Some in the cities fear us. They call us bloodthirsty savages, but they are ignorant of our ways. We are fierce warriors of great courage and honor, even if they do not understand.
What was it like for you growing up?
I will not lie. I was never allowed to forget about my father's tainted orc blood. Yet if the tribe did not embrace me, at least they tolerated me. Like the other young boys of our tribe, I ran and climbed and swam and grew strong. I learned to hunt and fish. I learned the lore of our tribe. And most importantly, I learned the honor of a warrior. With my mother's death, the time came for me to prove myself worthy of the tribe. I left in search of glory and honor in the outside world, to prove my spirit was true. I went to Luskin.
Why did you go to Luskin?
It was the closest city to our tribe, though I knew nothing of its foul, rotten character. If I had, I would not have gone. I have tried to forget my time in that accursed city, Ken. The memories are not, pleasant. This is not the time to speak of such things, Ken. We must focus on rooting out the cult responsible for the Wailing Death. Perhaps we can speak of this later, when the time is right.
Yes?
Interesting. Well, we can't learn any more now, but... So, Dalen spent time in Luskin. Interesting. That explains why he thinks the cult would be in there. He has intimate experience with that city. Well, Tommy's right here.
Well, now, if it isn't you. Glad I am to see you. Isn't the country wonderful this time of year? So much better than the city with all that, burning and dying. You know.
Yeah, I do. I'm surprised to see you here, Tommy.
Yeah, well, what's a halfling supposed to do? Me? I go where the money is. After you and I went our separate ways, Miss Arabeth there approached me and gave me plenty of money to hop along on this pony ride of hers. We're all supposed to help with the search. Seems like Lord Nasher wants to get rid of all the cultists who started this fight. I say good for him. Just goes to show that not all old people are useless and should be killed, you know.
So you were conscripted into service by Arabeth?
I've already been paid by Miss Arabeth. And good coin too, I might add. You'd think the Snatcher fellow belts gold at will. I was just told that I'm supposed to help out wherever I can.
How sweet and unspecific is that? I, don't suppose you actually want something, do you? Do you have any information on the cult behind the Wailing Death?
Nothing more than anyone, no. Ask me, though, Luskin's the place to look.
Luskin?
Oh, aye. The city has pirates and thieves galore. Anyone with any kind of bad reputation is more than welcome there, I assure you. Been there a few times myself. What better place for a frog to hide than amongst toads? Not that I've any evidence to back that up or anything.
So you think Luskin too? Okay then. I could use a good rogue by my side.
Well, isn't it a coincidence that I just happen to be a good rogue? Fine, this one rabbit town was beginning to bore me anyway.
Now, if I may, if we're to be companions, I'd like to know more about you. Let's hear some more.
Well, there's only so much you can know about me, my lord. Tommy Undergallows be the most famous halfling rogue in all of Gallenball. That about sums it up. Oh, I've my tales of treachery and deceit, the likes of which have been told to wide-eyed little Calamshite children for many years. Oh, but I doubt you'd be interested in that.
Oh, go on. You know you want to tell me.
Well, let's see. Tommy's had a bunch of friends and a bunch of enemies in his time. There's only been one who's been both. My arch nemesis, Samuel Bumbleheart. Sammy and I were pals dating back to the good old days when we used to run wild through the streets as wee little urchins, stealing avocados and pinching purses. When I started to gain a bit of notoriety on my own, however, Sammy became a mite jealous. Poor lad. Fame was always Sammy's thing. He's always loved attention. Ever since he did that striptease in the half-orc bar to keep from being pummeled, I've always thought he was a bit of a diva.
Well, you seem to rather enjoy the fame yourself.
Nah, not too much. It's a bit hard to pick a pocket when you have 20 suspicious eyes on you. Great with the lasses, though, I'll admit. Sammy was content for a while, but he'd get mad when folks always recognized me first. The guards would chase me down the street and he'd complain, "Why didn't they chase me?" Oh, he tried to show me up as a thief. Not being very good, however, it only landed him in prison. In Calamshan, that means you're as good as hung. I busted him out the first time, but that only embarrassed him. No good deed goes unpunished, you know, so Sammy had to take action.
You'd think he'd be thankful for the help.
Well, the truth is, I didn't really mean to break him out. It was an accident. The kind that brings down half the prison and causes a mass escape. Happens all the time, trust me.
Yeah, I imagine so.
I don't know why Sammy was so mad, really. He just seemed to lose it completely. All that shouting and turning red in the face was just so sad. After all, he'd only broken a couple of legs. He could still walk, even if it was with a limp. Could I be held completely to blame? At any rate, Sammy decided enough was enough. It was time to ruin his best pal Tommy once and for all.
What did he do?
Well, I thought he just wanted to be famous. And what better way to become famous than to take down the notorious Tommy Undergarrens? Sammy came up with a plan. Not the brightest plan, I suppose. He was never much of a planner. His last plan, in fact, was a heist that ended up with him being left naked and cold on a ship to Mastica. Well, alright, I did forget to go pick him up, but it was his plan. This plan would be different, however. Or so he thought. I'll have to tell you about it sometime, my lord. Come on, Tommy, really? No, this isn't the time, my lord. We have cultists to find and cut into little cultist-sized bits, don't we? Darn you, Tommy. You can tell us these things. Alright. Let me get some water before I speak with, Mr. Throat Killer here. Alright, Grimnaw. Time to speak.
We meet again. I taste a storm of slaughter on the air. I'm not surprised to find you here at the center of the whirlwind.
What are you doing here, Grimnaw?
When we parted ways, Ken, I meant to return to my order. But I bowed to the Silent Lord, and I discovered I could best serve his will by staying in Neverwinter for the time being. I am eager to find and slaughter those who unleashed the wailing death upon Neverwinter. Thousands were taken by the disease, their essence stolen from the grasp of true death. That was why I answered Lord Nasher's desperate call for mercenaries to come to Port Last. He is also anxious to root out those behind the wailing death.
So you were conscripted into service by Arabeth?
When Arabeth recruited the mercenaries, we were all paid in advance for our services. Well paid. Lord Nasher is sparing no expense in tracking down these cultists. Our instructions were simply to make ourselves available to whomever requires our assistance. So in that spirit, is there anything I can do for you?
Do you have any information on the cult behind the Wailing Death?
Their location is well hidden. However, I would not be surprised to learn they are connected with the village of Charwood.
Charwood?
The town has isolated itself from the rest of the world, far to the south of Port Last. Few outside my order even remember such a place exists. The town is a strange place. There is a foul taint upon it that we of the Long Death can feel. None of the emissaries my order has sent south to investigate Charwood has ever returned. It would not surprise me to discover links to the cult behind the Wailing Death in that unnatural place. Is there more I can do for you?
The Charwood. Beyond the South Road. That's interesting. I could use a monk by my side.
Then together we shall sow death and destruction throughout the land in our quest to destroy those behind the Wailing Death.
Is
Indeed.
there something you need?
Now then, if we are going to be traveling together, I'd like to know a little more about you.
I am a monk of the Order of the Long Death, Ken. I am defined by the customs, tenets, and beliefs of my order. Simply put, I worship death. Understand, I care nothing for the petty gods who squabble over and lay claim to death's portfolio, for I serve order itself. I serve death itself, the silent lord who rules us all.
Is your order evil, Grimnaw?
There are some who call us evil, for they fear the pain and death we spread, but we transcend morality. Death is not good or evil, it simply is. It is final, undeniable, and perfect. We of the Long Death train, study, and serve our masters. We strive to transcend the earthly world through mental discipline and philosophical understanding of death. We worship the very essence of Silent Lord, and we honor the tools that prepare us all for our inevitable, inescapable end. Pain, suffering, torment, agony. Our beliefs are difficult for most to accept,
and the Order of the Long Death has many powerful enemies.
Well, I mean, you worship death. It's honestly no wonder you have enemies.
Our embrace of the Silent Lord has brought us into conflict with many who do not understand the beauty of death. Many fear their mortal end. For most, we will simply use pain, anguish, torture, and suffering to release them from this fear. We will prepare them for the cold embrace of the Silent Lord. But there are some who go to extremes to avoid their fate. They use foul rituals and dark necromancy to deny the Silent Lord that which is his due.
Ah, you're talking about the undead, right? Liches and zombies and the like.
The undead are a foul abomination, a denial of the natural order. We of the Long Death are in constant conflict with necromancers and their minions. I have seen firsthand the horrors of a war with the undead, Ken.
What do you mean? Because I don't think you're thinking about what happened in the Beggar's Nest.
This is not the time to speak of such things, Ken. We must focus on rooting out the cult responsible for the Wailing Death. Perhaps we can speak of this later, when the time is right.
As you wish.
I have been waiting.
And if you insist. Alright, 3 companions down, 3 to go. Let's start with Sharwin here. Let me just get some water. Alright then. Sharwin, let us speak.
So, we meet again. The others had told me Erebeth had recruited you to find cultists. I can't say I'm surprised. You've acquired quite the reputation for yourself, haven't you?
I'm surprised to see you here, Sharwin.
And why is that? Just because we went our separate ways in Neverwinter, I'm supposed to disappear off the face of Faerun? If you haven't noticed, there's a shortage of good adventurers. Lady Erebeth approached me at the Trade of Blades to hire me on Lord Nash's behalf. Just as you were, I imagine. It looks to me like Lord Nash was pulling out all the stops to find this cult. The search in Neverwinter is immense, and we mercenaries have been sent to Port Last to join the effort with you and Erebeth. Lucky us.
So you were conscripted into service by Erebeth?
I've been paid good coin for my services by Lord Nasher, actually. It's another chance at acquiring some fame in my eyes, even though I've been told to merely offer my assistance to you and Erebeth for now. So do you need my help?
Well, do you have any information on the cult?
The cult could be practically anywhere. You may want to look in the hills by the Green Griffin Inn. I've had many tales of monsters raiding the roads nearby in force.
Monsters?
Bugbears and orcs, mostly. Apparently they were being directed by some humans, however, which would make it quite odd. At any rate, since Luskin is wrapped up in its own concerns, the countryside has become open season for banditry. These monsters, however, are more organized than usual.
Indeed. Aaron Gend suggested this. That said, I could use a bard by my side.
It's about time you asked. I'm at your disposal, Ken.
Yes? Is there something you...
Now, if I may, I'd like to know a bit more about you, Sharwin.
Mine is no great tale, Ken. If you like, I could tell you of my beginnings as a bard.
Yeah, tell me about that.
Well, let's see. I learned the majority of my trade from Dannon, my partner and my love. It was he who took me away from Neverwinter and my family. We were a team, a singing duo who earned our keep in taverns, traveling from town to town along the Salt Coast. We would camp off the roads, and I would listen in awe as Dannon told me the old legends by the firelight. I loved him more as each night passed.
So why aren't you with him now?
An excellent question. At the time, I didn't think anything could separate us. He was my first, you see, and my belief in our love was absolute. It turned out that those times were the best. I should have cherished them more, for things were quickly about to get much worse. The fateful day came when we crossed into Armand in the south. We received a rather sudden and unexpected invitation to sing before one of the wealthiest courts in Athkatla.
This was bad news?
Well, Dannon was positive that our long months of playing in taverns had caught someone's attention, that we were being rewarded. He was overjoyed. Myself, I was hesitant. I was not so sure of our abilities, so questioning the motives behind the invitation was far easier. I urged Dannon to ignore the invitation, but naturally he would have none of it. It was the beginning of the end for us, really, though I did not know it. Perhaps it is a story I shall tell you sometime.
No, you can tell me the rest now.
No, I've had enough of that story for now. I'm not in the mood, Ken. Come, let us adventure more. It will lift my spirits some, I think.
I've been waiting.
As you wish, Sharwin. Well, let's move on to Linu then.
Hello. I had hoped that you would show up here, my friend. I heard that Erebeth recruited you to stamp out the evil cult that was responsible for the plague.
Linu, what a pleasant surprise.
I thought we had parted for good, Ken, but the goddess has her own plans that I must follow. I went back to the Trade of Blades to prepare myself for a journey home. I was there only a few hours when I was approached by Lady Erebeth on behalf of Lord Nasher himself. She told me that Lord Nasher is determined to root out the cult that brought so much suffering to his city. He has ordered all the mercenaries in Neverwinter to come to Port Last to join in the search. I was afraid I might have missed you while I was changing my clothes.
Oh, wait, changing your clothes?
Oh, when I came in here, a waitress spilled some drinks.
She soaked your clothes?
Well, no. I bumped into her, and when the drinks crashed down, I leapt backwards into a dwarf, knocking over his ale and stew.
So that messed you up?
No. The food and drinks landed on the floor, but the dwarf crashed into a half-orc, causing the knife he was eating with to slice open his cheek. That's when the brawl started.
And you wrecked your outfit in the brawl?
I managed to stay out of the brawl, hiding under a table and feeling awfully guilty. When the fight was over, I felt I should help clean up the mess.
Please tell me that's how you got dirty.
No, I wore an apron and managed to stay pretty clean. Then I stepped outside for a breath of fresh air and slipped in a mud puddle. So then I had to go change.
Why didn't you just tell me
You slipped in a mud puddle from the start. I didn't want you to think I was clumsy. I'm waiting here at the orders of Lady Erebeth. Okay, Linu, I'll just forget about all that.
So you're working for Erebeth?
Lord Nasher ordered all mercenaries to come to Port Last to help discover the whereabouts of the cult that nearly destroyed his city. I spent weeks wearing myself out trying to help ease the suffering of plague victims. I jumped at the opportunity to bring the culprits to justice.
Have you heard any rumors about the cult since you've come here?
I haven't heard anything specific about the cult, but I have heard about some trouble around Neverwinter Wood.
Ah, the wood.
I don't know very much, but apparently there was a ranger in town here that was telling of animals savagely attacking anyone in or around the woods. Having failed to destroy us with their terrible disease, it would hardly shock me to find out that the cult is struck with a plague of vicious animals. Is there anything else I can help you with?
Are you planning to travel there?
I'm not much of an investigator. I've been ordered to travel with anyone who is in need of a healer. You're the one who knows how to solve mysteries, Ken. I would love to help you, though. I have strong abilities in the art of healing, and I also can stand on my own in a fight. I would be a valuable resource for your quest.
I often am in need of a skilled healer. Join me.
It would be a great pleasure, Ken. I look forward to our adventures together. I will follow you and perform to the best of my abilities according to the orders you have given me. Anytime you wish to issue new orders, you have only to speak with me again.
Of course.
Hey there, dear.
Now then, tell me, how do you like being an adventurer, Linu? Regardless of the accidents that have happened.
I always wanted to be an adventurer, Ken. I have a natural curiosity about everything, and I wanted to experience the things I read in books. But I am from Everesca, the home of philosophers, mages, scholars, and students of the mysteries. Adventurous souls are few, and they are often looked down upon. Well, except one.
Oh? Who's that?
Synth Lanaral was a handsome, charismatic, intelligent, adventurous archaeologist. He was respected within Everesca and other intellectual cities in places like Waterdeep. He was considered the most eligible bachelor in Everesca.
Your husband?
Actually, I didn't like him at first. I was reading a text on an ancient race one night in the temple library. The author was writing about his adventures, seeking lost relics in exotic, dangerous locales. I slammed the book on the table, calling the author a lying, pompous fool. Another elf was sitting on a chair near me with his face in a book. He asked me what I was reading. I told him the name of the book, and he laughed. In my youthful arrogance, I went on to list the large number of errors in the author's logic.
Thought you were pretty smart, huh?
I did, and I quickly learned how dumb I was. When I finished, he began to refute every point I had made. It was, I quickly discovered, synth la neural. When I realized the mistake I had made, I screamed and ran from the room. Despite my blundering, I must have made an impression on him, for he pursued me from that day on. Eventually, he won my heart, though only through an act that almost cost him his life.
What did he do?
Let's not talk of such things right now, sweet Ken. We must hunt down the cult responsible for the Wailing Death. Perhaps we can speak of this later, when the time is right.
Very well, Linu.
Waiting.
That will likely be a very interesting tale, especially considering what you're like. And finally, we have Body
ask.
Knock.
Good to see you again. Though in actual fact, I cannot say I am really surprised.
When I heard Arabeth was recruiting people to aid in the search for the cult behind the Wailing Death, it was a simple logical leap to assume you would be one of those recruited.
What are you doing here, Body Knock?
When we parted ways, Ken, I meant to continue my explorations of the north. But then I heard Arabeth was recruiting mercenaries to join in the search for the cult behind the plague. You may have discovered a cure for the plague and flushed out those behind it, Ken, but the process by which the Wailing Death was spawned has not yet been determined. Given my scientific interest in the plague, and my desire to ensure it is never again unleashed upon Faerun, it was only logical that I answer Arabeth's call for aid.
So you were conscripted into service by Arabeth.
When Arabeth recruited the mercenaries, we were all paid in advance for our services. Well paid. Lord Nasher is sparing no expense in tracking down these cultists. Our instructions were simply to make ourselves available to whomever requires our assistance. So in that spirit, is there anything I can do for you?
Well, have you heard any rumors about the cult since you've come here? I mean, considering who you are, you probably have a very logical idea for who it could be.
I have heard people claiming the cult has a base in the plains to the south. Others insist there is undeniable evidence of the cult in the forest to the east. Still others swear the cult is hiding in the city of Luskan to the north. Obviously, such rumors and hearsay are of little value. I prefer to put my faith in hard empirical evidence. Evidence I can observe with my own two eyes. As yet, I have found no evidence that I consider reliable.
But you must have an opinion of where to start looking.
I don't think you understand. Without the proper data to analyze, my evaluation of the situation would result in a hypothesis with an unacceptable margin of error. Naturally, I have formed some preliminary theories, but if I were to venture any opinion on this matter, it would be nothing more than a complete and utter guess.
So guess, Body Knock. Sometimes you've just got to play a hunch, and obviously, hunches are where some of the greatest scientific ideas come from. If someone didn't follow a hunch, they wouldn't discover whether something is true or false. Sure, you can always follow logical theory, but like I said, sometimes a hunch is enough.
A hunch? You're a strange man, Ken, but I suppose if I were forced to make a guess, I would say we should start our search in the Neverwinter Wood, to the southeast of Port Last.
Why there?
Roots, herbs, and other flora grow in abundance in the forest, many of which can be used to heal a variety of illnesses. It is only logical to assume such plants can also be used to bring sickness and death. Plus, the woods are shunned by most civilized people. They believe they are haunted, making it a perfect place for a secret hideout for a large group. The Neverwinter Wood seems to be the only place that provided the seclusion and the materials that would have been necessary for the cult to bring about the Wailing Death. At least, that's my best guess.
You seem to have some solid reasons for a guess.
As I said, I had a preliminary hypothesis. However, I would not be at all surprised to find my theory about the Neverwinter Wood to be wrong.
So are you going to investigate the woods?
I am an accomplished sorcerer, Ken, but I also have a realistic understanding of my own limitations. Surviving the wilds of this region alone would be a challenge that surpasses my capabilities. Besides, Arabeth has hired us so that we may serve and assist others who are more suited for heroism and great deeds. You are a well-known hero, Ken. If I were to accompany you, I am certain my skills would be of some use.
Well, I could use a sorcerer by my side, Body Knock.
Then I will be glad to join you on your cause, Ken. It is an honor to serve with a hero such as you. I will follow you and perform to the best of my abilities according to the orders you have given me. Anytime you wish to issue new orders, you have only to speak with me again. Of course. Speaking of which, if we're to be traveling together, I'd like to know a bit more about you. As you know, I come from Lanton, an island renowned for its inventions and scientific advances. From that you can rightly conclude that I myself am of an analytical and curious nature. You also know I am a sorcerer, and from that you can no doubt draw further conclusions. Though in all truth, my chosen profession is rather uncommon among the Lantonese culture. Did your family disapprove of your career choice? In my homeland, there is no shame attached to what I do. It is merely seen as unusual, though I will admit it is not the future my father envisioned for me. I was his eldest son, and I suppose my father wanted me to follow in his own footsteps. Both flowers, plants, and gardens never held much interest for me. Your father wanted you to become a gardener. Agronomy is a well-respected field in Lanton, and my father was one of the finest horticulturalists on the island. His pioneering research in cross-pollination and grafting techniques was responsible for the creation of 26 unique species of plants. Because of my father's work, Lanton's agricultural yields increased, as did the island's supply of medicinal herbs, and the beauty and variety of our flowering species is unparalleled anywhere on the mainland. He sounds like a great man. A finer gnome could not be found in length and breadth of Faerun, Ken. I suppose that is why I find the gulf that has grown between us so painful to accept. What do you mean? My father and I had a falling out. Please, Ken, this is difficult for me to speak of. I'm not sure I wish to discuss this with you right now. Perhaps later I will be in a mood to speak more of my tale, but for now we should focus on your mission. The cult responsible for the Wailing Death must be found.
I've been waiting for you.
Indeed, it should. And we do have some items that we must put in here again. We have Dalen's Feather, Body Knock's Gem, Luna's Token, Grimnaw's Gem. There we go. That's what we have there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, this. There we go. Oh, we have special holy water in there? That should be in there. That should be here with all of these. Alright. And that, I believe, is where I am going to end this episode, because this one has definitely gone on long enough. So we learned some interesting things. Tommy is going to tell us of his rival. Dalen is going to tell us of his, what is it? Ah yes, his time in Luskan. Grimnaw is going to tell us of his dealings with undead. Sharwin is going to tell us more about her time with Darren. Linu is going to tell us about her husband, and Bodyknock is going to tell us about his father. Sounds like this is all going to be about family and relations. Well, except for Tommy and Dalen. Dalen already told us about his family, and Tommy... well, Tommy's Tommy. Anyway, we've spent enough time in here. Next episode, we'll go out into the city itself and do some exploration. See what we can find in the town of Port Last. But that'll be in the next episode. So, until then, I'm Chester44. That is Ken Daniels and Dalen Red Tiger. This has been a Let's Play of Neverwinter Nights, and I shall see you all next time.